Okay. So essentially, there was a time when saving customer information, this is how it was done. It was done in Excel. You know, I remember in the in the mid 90s, in 1995 and 90s up to 2000, this is how customer records were saved. So if somebody wanted to save, let's say, for example, a list of contacts, they would go into an Excel sheet, they would rename this tab and call this tab contact,
Excel sheet they are teaching us.
and then give it, let's say, first name and last name and email address, for example. This is conventionally how they would actually use data, and this is such an archaic method. And what's difficult about using a method like this is that, yes, you can save your data, but your data is also at risk. And if I want to draw up reports and different things with regards to these data, it's very difficult to do. And if I want to email these customers or engage with these customers, I can't really do that. You know, and people can get quite creative. They can create this type of database. Then they can go talk about, let's say, accounts. Let's actually create a tab called accounts, for example. So now you have your contacts, you have your accounts. You know, they would even go so far as to create one more and call it, let's say, invoices, for example. So this is how people actually used to manage their data, all right? Which I suppose in some sense is okay. And to be honest, I still see businesses today that manage their business using Excel. And it's a crazy method and a dangerous method. What are the other options that you have? So a lot of companies over many years have been moving their businesses into some sort of CRM system. So CRM essentially stands for customer relationship management. So customer relationship management is the relationship that you manage between you and your customer. So in other words, how do you communicate with the customer? How do you manage the data? How do you report on the data, and so forth? Okay. So what options you have is you could actually go and you could create yourself a website, right? And behind that website, you can have a little SQL server, and you can have someone write you a PHP site where you can save all your customer information in there. But as technology evolved, that method became very expensive because you have to continuously keep on updating the code and so forth. And they're not very big and robust. They're not really strong platforms to be able to maintain your data on. You know, a nice company we use here in South Africa is a company called AfriHost. So AfriHost, I'll give you an example. If I wanted to go and create myself a website, I could do it by going and creating a hosting package. And then behind my hosting package over here, I could go and create a server. And then inside that server, I can then go and, create a database and so forth. All right. So essentially, what is a CRM system? A CRM system is a software that is a generic platform. Okay, so when I say a generic platform, it's a piece of software that can essentially be used by any business. All right, so let's look at some options. I'm going to use my Excel sheet as a notepad, right? If we look at any business, right? Let me just delete this contents here. Any business has accounts. They have what we call contacts. So these are the people that work at the company. So if I could briefly explain the difference, right? Just in case you don't know, for those people who are really new. In a business structure, you have accounts, which are the actual companies, the buildings. And then you have contacts. These are the people that work at that company. So you may have a situation where you have one account, and let's say that account is called, let's say ABC Transport, for example. That's the name of the account. But the name of contacts is, let's say, John, Sam, and Paul. All right. So there's essentially three contacts that work for the same company. All right. What other things do we know about companies? We need to be able to email these people. We need to be able to invoice. We need to be able to quote. We need to be able to place orders. We need to be able to manage stock. We need to be able to, the list goes on and on and on. But in essence, what I'm trying to explain is that every company manages accounts. Every company manages contacts. Every company emails their contacts. Every company sends invoices. Every company creates quotes, orders, and manage stock and so forth. Now, because of this, what happened over time, is engineers and software programmers were building the same system to manage the exact same data set over and over and over and over again. So what happened is you had an evolution where things like Microsoft Dynamics, Microsoft Dynamics 365 was born. And then you get other programs like Salesforce, SAP, Zoho. There's a number of different platforms. So what these platforms are, in essence, hold these core records, your accounts, contacts, and they perform all the common functionality. But what makes them different is they have the ability to be able to take the existing core system, and then you can twist and change that system to fit your business needs. So in other words, I can actually, as a user, I can create I can perform different functions quite easily and manipulate it without me needing an actual specialist or a developer or a PHP programmer or a SQL specialist to actually go and update my data. So I can make quite significant changes to my program and my program logic without actually having to understand any programming language whatsoever. There is some stage when you go outside of the scope of the program that you may have to learn one or two languages to do that, but for this stage, you can do an incredible amount with Microsoft Dynamics just from the out of the box system. Okay, so so what I'd like to do at this point, I just would like to ask: is there any questions? I just want to check the chat box just to make sure if there's any questions that I can answer those questions before we continue. Okay, Fernandez, I am recording the session, so I definitely will be posting the session back for you. Okay, so if yeah, all right, good. All right, perfect. Okay, thank you so much. All right, let's continue. All right. So what I'm going to do in this next exercise, right? I'm going to request that you guys actually do this exercise with me. Okay. So when I say you're going to do this exercise with me, I would like you guys to actually set up your very first Dynamics environment. Okay. So I just want to make sure you guys can see the correct screen that I'm looking at. Okay. So you should see my my screen. Now I'm going to go really, really slowly to make sure that you can keep up. All right. But what I first want to do is I want to set up a trial environment, right? So trial environment, we're just going to simply search for free trial of Dynamics 365. So if you search for that in Google, then you will get to over here where it says trials.dynamics.com. If you click on that. So I'm going to post this in the chat for those of you who might be struggling, and then you can go straight to this. Now, please do me a favor, don't jump ahead, because if you do jump ahead and you're going to get lost, then you're not on the same page as I am. Okay, once you go to that link, you will be presented with this over here. So I don't want you to go any further past this. I'm going to explain what these actually are. All right, so what we see on our screen are actual applications. These are components of Dynamics 365. So the first one is the sales component that actually manages sales. So things like managing your accounts, contacts, invoices, quotes, orders, products, and so forth. This is an application that is specifically designed for sales. What's nice about it is a customer can take that application, it's already completely built, and then I can launch the application and I can start using it almost immediately. And if I want to customize it, I can quite quickly customize it, but it's pretty much ready to use. The customer service side, this application here specifically deals with customer service. So it has its commonality with sales is it has accounts and contacts, yes, but it has cases, it has knowledge base, it has a whole bunch of additional things that are around a customer service environment, right? But we'll go into each one in a little bit more detail. This application here is called Field Service, a very, very powerful application. This application is used for businesses that where customers call in and then they have technicians that go out to sites to either repair products and so forth. There's actually a really nice mobile application called Dynamics 365 for Field Service that you can download, and it connects to your environment so that the technicians that are going to visit customers can actually receive their appointments, what we call work orders, on their tablets, go to the customer, do the job, and so forth. But there's a lot more to it. Okay, project service automation. So if you do project management, the project service automation application will actually handle that. There's Dynamics 365 for retail, an incredible application. So if you want to be able to put together a retail system, that's what it does. And it's got online payment gateways and a whole bunch of stuff, a customer-facing portal. But we're not going to get into the technical stuff. I promised you what we're going to do is we want to get the foundation right? So Dynamics 365 for talent is mainly for people who are like HR and recruiting and so forth. Then finance and operations is formerly known as like AX, where you do all your finance and operations. So that's what that application is. The nice thing about it is all these applications are individual, but they all exist in one ecosystem. So they all talk to each other and coexist in one environment. So in other words, if your customer has finance and operations that's running, and I go and deploy, let's say, for example, customer service, then definitely whatever I do in customer service is going to communicate with my finance and operations application. All right. Now, when you scroll down to the bottom here, it's got work email and phone number. Do not fill this in. Okay. So there's a sentence here that says, are you signing up on behalf of a customer or using a trial for development purposes? You click on the link that says sign up here. Okay. And then on the bottom right, it says no, continue signing up. You can click on that. And this will actually take you to the next page. So the reason why we don't go and fill in your work email address is because what happens is if you do, it's going to ask you to verify your domain. And for test and training purposes, it's not something that you're actually going to want to do. All right. Okay, so you're going to enter your country. So in my case, I'm entering South Africa. I advise that you enter your local country so that when we're working with the data, it's going to make a lot more sense. All right, so you're going to enter your details. So I'm going to enter my details. All right, and then you can enter some basic information. Select the organization size. So I'm going to select 2 to 4, and then click on next. Okay, business telephone number is required. All right, fantastic. And then next. All right, so on the next stage, you're actually going to set up your domain for your Dynamics environment, right? So, or your username and your domain. So I like to use admin over here, and then put your company. All right, so I'm going to put this as ABC for Dynamics. Okay. Now, when you tab out of this field, it'll actually confirm if the domain is available, and you can see over here by the green tick, it says that the domain is available. Okay, I'm going to create a password. It gives you a suggested password, but you can obviously create your own password. So I'm going to create my own. Fantastic. Then confirm your password. Those of you who are just watching for now, not a problem. You can watch. And then when I share this video, when we're done, then I'd need you guys to please set up a trial environment after this. If you're following along with me, then not a problem. So once you've completed this, you've got a green tick. You're good to go. You can untick this if you want to, and then click on continue. All right. The next thing is going to ask you to prove that you're not a robot, right? So I'm going to select text me, and then I need to select my country. So you have to use a real number. You can't just go and use some garbage, right? Okay, and then click on text me. So this will send a text to your phone, and then which will give you a PIN number that you can enter that will verify that you are actually a real person. You're not some sort of robot, right? Okay, so let's enter our PIN. Okay, and then click next. Okay, fantastic. All right, so there we go, it's verifying. So now, what's actually happening at this stage is that we've set up our domain name and our username and password. And at this stage, what's happening is the environment is busy self-configuring itself. Okay? Yeah, it's busy finishing up. Now, you might want to see this information. So your sign-in page, your user ID, and your password. So maybe what you want to do is create a sticky note. And then what I would do is go and copy this information onto an actual sticky note so that when you want to go and log in later, you will be able to refer back to it. Okay, so when you get to this page, you've copied your sign-in page details and your username. You just click on Setup. Okay. Now, this subscription is valid for 30 days. So for 30 days, you can go crazy on it. You can create records. You can test it and so forth. There is a limit, but I'll explain that to you just now. Okay, this page here really important, right? So this asks you, if you remember in the earlier stage, we asked you which application, I explained what applications there are. There's sales, there's customer service, field service, project service, automation. What I want you to select is on the right-hand side, you're going to select all of these. So check that box, then scroll down and click on complete setup. But before you click on complete setup, make sure your currency is correct over here, because once you click on complete setup, you cannot change your currency afterwards. You could, but it just becomes more difficult now, because then you have to go and manipulate the system's base currency. So any system that you set up has a base currency. So in my case, my base currency is going to be South African Rand. And if I wanted to change it to US dollars, I'm going to have to actually manipulate the Rand to change it to US dollars. So very important that if you're setting up a test environment for yourself or for a customer, make sure you set up the correct currency for your base currency. If I do mention anything that doesn't really make 100% sense and you want me to repeat it, please stop me at any time or post your questions in the chat box and I'll repeat with pleasure. Okay. All right. Okay, so what you see now is it's actually logging me into my environment. So when there's some words you're going to hear me say. Words like environment, tenant, entity, and so forth. We're going to go through that terminology a little bit later. But again, let's just keep it as simple as possible for now. So what these are apps. Okay. So we're inside Dynamics, but these are our apps. So if I click on this drop down, the same apps are over here. So anytime you want to switch between applications, you can switch between your applications over here. This very first one, Dynamics 365 for custom, or Dynamics 365 Custom, this is actually your main application that holds everything. It's got your sales, your customer service, it's got your field service. The whole lot is actually all contained in this app over here. You'll notice as well, give me 1 second. Okay, you'll also notice over here, get rid of this thing. Okay, you'll notice underneath each app, one says web, and the one says unified interface. That one says web, unified interface. What does this actually mean? So they are actually different user interfaces. So let me explain. I'm going to duplicate the screen so that you guys can see the difference between the two. All right, so if I click on this one, the web interface, you will see how that looks. On this one, I'm going to select the unified interface. I think my biggest struggle in the beginning was learning all this terminology. I think that was the one thing that was driving me crazy. But you know, if you come from an IT background and you understand things like, let me use a term you guys might understand is tables. So when we think about tables in a data structure, we call it entities in CRM. Okay, so here we have our contacts. You have a contact table in a SQL table, but in CRM, we don't. We have contacts over here. And your contact is called a contact entity. And the contact entity holds all your contact records. Okay. And on this side, the unified interface, I'll show you how that looks when it finish loading. Let me go to the customer service hub. That's a unified interface. So what is quite nice now is you guys are busy learning in the transition between the old version and the new version, right? You're actually right in the middle, because this look and feel over here is actually new. So customers that bought Dynamics a couple of months ago, their menu won't actually look like this. It looks kind of a bit different to this, okay? And on this side here, the customer service hub, this you'll see looks a bit different. So this is what we refer to as unified interface. And this side is what we call the web interface. All right. I know it's really hard to tell the difference between the two, but there is a slight difference between them. you'll notice sometimes when we're doing settings later on, switching between these interfaces, you'll actually see that happen because some of the configurations is still done in the old method. I'm going to give you an example of what the common one that you will see. If you don't mind just holding 1 second while I log into that one. I'm not sure if you can still see my screen. Excuse me. Okay, I'm going to share a different screen with you in just a second. I'm going to log in now. I want to share a different screen with you so that you guys can see what most people have when it comes to Dynamics 365, what their user interface actually looks like. So if you hear me say UI, I mean user interface, or UX, the user experience. So I will show you now in just a second what most customers are currently using. Okay, I'm switching to a different one now. Okay. So if you see this one, it's quite hard to tell the difference between the previous one. But the previous one, you notice there was a menu on the left-hand side. This one's menu is actually at the top. So there's sales, there's service, marketing, settings, training, portals, community. These are your applications, and these are your entities or your data tables, right? So here's your contacts. Excuse me. There's your contacts of all your customers, or the contacts that work for company, and then your accounts. Here's your accounts. Okay, so that's the difference really between them. So let's switch back to the other one and see how that looks different, right? Okay, so I'm back in my new UI. So the new UI doesn't have the drop down over here. Okay, how the drop down works is actually right on the bottom. If you click on this, then you can switch between sales, service, marketing. If you can see that, look on my left hand side of my screen, you'll see there I can switch to service, and it'll bring up all my service applications. Okay, and if I switch to sales, I'll bring up all my sales applications. Okay, we're not going to get into that right now. We've got quite a long course over 30 days that I'm going to be going through each and every function by function by function. I'm going to give you the basics on pretty much everything in CRM so that you'll be able to use the CRM and to actually set yourself up and build a CRM system. So the basics I'm going to give you, you'll be able to understand how to use CRM. You'll be able to do basic customization and configuration, and it'll give you enough of a groundwork to set up your learning profile. So when you start studying, it's not so difficult for you. Okay. One thing that I wanted us to do now that I've showed you how to set up a trial environment is I also want you to be able to deploy a portal, because we're going to use it later on. So now that you're logged in, if we open one more tab, and then if you go to portal.office.com. Now, I know this is not going to make 100% sense, but when I talk about a portal, is think about it like this. I have my contacts. So these are the people that work for various companies who are customers of my company. But I want these customers to be able to log into a customer-facing application, right? So I want them to log in, and I want them to be able to send support requests. I want them to be able to purchase products or read articles. This is how I create a web application to connect my customers to interact with our company directly without having, it's kind of like a self-service, really. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to deploy it, because it takes a little bit of time to set up. And to do that is, if you go to open one more tab while you're logged into your trial, and you go to portal.office.com, it'll log you into your Office 365 tenant. Okay. So your Office 365 actually holds all of your applications. It holds your OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, SharePoint, your Dynamics 365, as well as your admin center. So your admin center is really, really critical to how your system works. So for now, we're going to go to the admin center. And then later on, we're going to use the portal. I'm going to do a little bit of advanced training on the portal for those of you guys who understand your HTML and CSS. And I'm going to show you how to manipulate the portal to get it to look and feel the way you want it to look and feel. Okay, fantastic. All right, so this is actually the new user interface or screen for how can I say, the admin center, the old admin center that we normally used to work with doesn't look anything like this. So you guys are learning on literally brand new platform that a lot of people, a lot of CRM people actually have not even worked on yet, right? Okay, so we're going to go to settings and then service and add-ins. They moved a whole bunch of stuff around. The Dynamics environment used to be under the admin centers here, and then they've moved it. Okay, so over here, if I click on Dynamics CRM, and then I go to Manage Dynamics CRM, what this does is it allows me to manage additional components that are connected to my CRM environment. So what that means in simple English is, remember, we've got, how can I say? Well, let me show you rather instead. So this is actually the heart of CRM. This is where we control everything. This is where your data updates occur, where you can check your service health of your system in terms of how much hard drive space that you have left, your backup and restore of your application, and then additional connected applications. So your connected applications are things like, there's the customer service application. You can see it's enabled. That's why it shows over here. So if you see here, customer service, it's because it is enabled over there. The customer service hub is enabled, field service is enabled, project services. The one I'm looking for actually is this one over here that says portal add-on. Okay, so I'm going to go and click on manage. Sorry, if you didn't see that, you select it and then click on manage over here. And this automatically deploys a live working website that is connected directly to your CRM. I mean, once this is finished, deployed, and set up, customers can actually register and start creating accounts and contacts and records inside your CRM almost within the next 30 minutes or so. It's literally out of the box, ready to go. So let's give our portal a name. So I'm going to call mine ABCs for Dynamics. And I want you guys to create your own portal, right? ABC, and yes, I'm going to ask you for your portal URL. Okay. Then next thing is, you'll see here it says select a dynamic instance. Okay. So basically, over here it's got Logix 365, right? So this is it's asking me, where do I want to connect to? So obviously I'm going to connect to your instance, but what does an instance actually mean? So although I've got one admin system, so this is my admin system over here. Okay. This is my main admin system. I can actually buy multiple Dynamics 365 subscriptions inside the same as Office 365, and each of them I can have for different CRMs. So in other words, you might have a situation where you've got the same company, but that company has one tenant for let's say Italy and one tenant for South Africa, and then those two tenants are completely separate from each other. So that's quite common. That happens now and then. So you can buy a number of Dynamics instances. Why it's asking us over here, select a Dynamics instance, is because it needs to know which Microsoft Dynamics we're connecting the portal to which CRM is basically what I'm saying. Okay, we're going to select the language. Portal administrator, you'll see by default it'll have your name in there. The portal audience, is it a partner or customer or employee? So this is very important, and you guys should research this, right? So customer-facing portals do not require a license. They are your customers that are engaging with you. But if I deploy an employee type portal, then yes, they're licensed users, right? And then the type of portal, I want a customer portal, that's my audience. And then select the portal to be deployed, I want a customer self-service portal. All right, so that's what I want. So I want my customers to be able to log in. I want my customers to be able to create support cases. I want them to be able to update their profiles and maybe interact with some of the CRM records and so forth. Okay, so once you've selected all of this, just simply click on Submit and then accept the terms and conditions. And then your portal we're almost done. Okay. Let's just wait for that to start. And then you'll get this red message. And please don't panic. This is not an error message. So what is actually happening now is the portal is self-building itself. It's busy putting itself together. It's got to bring in all the pages and the web pages and the permissions and so forth. And it actually builds the whole site and deploys the site. So after a couple of minutes, you can come and refresh this page, and you'll get your, it'll tell you that it's actually complete. But we'll check this out in another lesson, and I encourage each of you to please deploy a portal, because we're going to, as a group, we're going to log into each other's portals and see what we've done and so forth. So we will have quite an interactive session. Okay. Any questions at this point before I move on to the third and final step? Is there any questions at this point? No? Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Nandis. All right. So the final part is, for those of you, let me ask this question before I even go into this explanation. Is there any of you guys here that are looking at building a career with Microsoft in terms of getting qualified in business applications, getting your certifications, and so forth? Okay, fantastic. All right. So something that's really, really important is you need to register. You need to register your Microsoft Learning account. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to demonstrate how to actually do that. All right. So I'm going to open a new window, and then I'm going to go and just share my screen. Now, some of you may already have a Microsoft Learning account. No major train smash. I'm just going to show you actually how to actually set up your Microsoft account. And a word of advice from me, I've seen a lot of people make this mistake. They go and set up their Microsoft Learning account. When they set it up, they make the mistake to set it up on their work email address. Don't ever do that. Set up your Microsoft Learning account on your own personal email address. That means you can maintain ownership of it. And when you work for different companies or organizations around the world, you can then attach your learning profile, or what they refer to as your MCID, to that company. And then when you leave the company one day, if that happens, you can withdraw it, but you retain ownership of your account. If you do it in the company's email address, you have complications later on where if you leave the company, the email address doesn't exist anymore, and then you sit with the problem now that you can't get your account back. Okay, so to register an account, we're going to go to microsoft.com /learning. Okay, let me paste this in the chat. This is a really, really important link. You want to make sure you save this link. I'm going to put that in the chat. And there's another link. I'm going to explain this one to you just now. It's actually quite different. So there's learning and learn. The learning is actually where you register your professional profile with Microsoft. And what I like to use this for, and I'll log into mine to show you what it actually looks like. What I like to use this for is I book my exams here. You get your certifications here. It connects directly to your social networks like LinkedIn and so forth. So it makes it really easy for recruiters that are busy searching for new talent to be able to find you and verify your information, right? Okay, so on the top right-hand corner, you can click over here. Let me just click on sign out. For some reason, it's signed into an existing tenant. And guys, I have to encourage you. Anytime I say something that you don't understand, please stop me and I'll explain it. I know when I started learning, I heard all these crazy terms and they really didn't make any sense to me. And I just wanted somebody to explain this to me in simple English that I could actually understand and move on. Okay. All right. So let me sign in. So you go to microsoftlearning.com and then go and register there. So some things that are really important is when you book your exams, always book your exams through your profile. You need to be logged in and book your exam on your profile. So as soon as you pass an exam, when you go write an exam, you get your results immediately. And then after a couple of hours, you receive badges, and those badges are actually your certifications really, or your proof of your certifications. Okay. So once you log in, this is what it looks like. On the right-hand corner will show, if I click on it, it shows a picture of me. It shows my email address and so forth. But dashboard is where you want to be. Okay. So your dashboard will normally show your last exam. So I recently wrote this exam. It's one of the very, very, very new exam. It's MB200. Quite an interesting exam. You click on badges. This shows you all your badges that you've earned. So every time you pass an exam, you will essentially earn a badge for each exam that you pass. And then you follow a learning route to earn different types of badges. So, for example, if I wanted to get an MCSE, there's a specific learning path that you will follow to actually qualify for your MCSE. So you'll first need an MCSA, and then once you've got your MCSA, you can upgrade to MCSE. All right. So this is what these badges look like. So this is an MTA, and that's MCSE and MTA. So this MCSE is basically for business applications. The MTAs are Microsoft Technology Associate. So what that means is these are specialized for HTML and CSS and so forth. This is another MCSE that I got, also for business applications. And this is a MCSA, also for business applications. Right? And then exams, these are the new badges. So these are the brand new badges that just been released for the new set of exams. And these are the old exams. So then you get field service and the various exams that you can go and write to get yourself certified. And then you'll often find that people ask you for a transcript. So a transcript is your history. It's all your exams you've written. So if you click on transcript, this is where you can actually download and share your transcript for recruiters that want to see what your experience level is. All of your exams that you write for Microsoft will all be on your transcript, and it's literally your Microsoft CV. All right. Okay. In terms of certification planner, you can go to that. This is where you actually go and plan your certifications. All right. So what I like to do is I like to go a different route. So I'm going to open a new tab. So we're almost out of time. Okay, so let's try this. Let's go to Microsoft.com, and then let's go to /learn, right? So this is where you're going to find all your learning material. M-I-C-R-O. Okay, I'm going to spell Microsoft correctly. That'll help. What am I doing? Microsoft.com/learn. There we go. That should work. Cool. So this is where you find all your learning material. Now I've got to warn you, some of the learning material is a bit rough. So what I did is I obviously created the group, the ABC for Dynamics group. And what that group is for myself to support you as you grow and learn Dynamics. But as you grow and learn, I encourage you guys to share information on new tips and tricks that you've learned. And then while you're working on projects, you have an environment where you can actually ask questions and get help from various specialists in Dynamics directly in the ABC for Dynamics group. Okay. Anyway, so let's go here and we click on certifications. Okay, once we click on certifications, okay, if we go down here, there's fundamental certifications, associate, expert. Okay. Then if you see over here, there's Microsoft Certified Azure, that's also Azure, all right. There's another route you can also go over here. I just want to show role-based. So this is really important. So role-based exams, right? Now what you don't want to do is go and write your exams in your own order. That is a really big mistake because you'll find yourself waiting for your certification and it doesn't seem to be arriving. Because you wrote the exams in the wrong order. So they have very specific requirements. So if you want an MCSA, they tell you which paths to follow. All right, so I'm going to scroll down here and show you one that is quite nice for customer service. I want to show you that one. And somewhere here. So the learning environment that we used to use was something called DLP, which you'll hear now and then. It stands for Dynamics Learning Portal. But in order to get into DLP, you need to be associated to a Microsoft partner who has subscribed to the Dynamics Learning Portal. I actually preferred it. This is the new one. Here we go. All right, so you see this is Microsoft Certified Dynamics 365 for Customer Service Functional Consultant Associate. So this is essentially your equivalent to it, your MCSA. So if I say explore this certification, this will be the first level. It shows you the two exams. It tells you write exam MB 200 and MB 230. It tells you what skills you're going to be measured on. All right, so it tells you basically what you must go and study. Okay. And then optional prerequisites. It gives you some prerequisites here, and then it gives you an option to schedule the exam. Okay. And this is the customer service exam. All right. I hope that makes sense. All right. So in tomorrow's lesson, let me just check what our schedule is looking like. If you don't mind, just give me 1 second. I just want to double check if I make sure I've covered everything that we're supposed to cover today and just getting our environment set up. I think we've pretty much covered setting up what we need to set up. So yeah, we're actually done for today. Okay, so please do me a favor. I want you to set up your learning profile, number one. I want you to get your Dynamics 365 set up and going, and also get your portal configured. Let's actually see if our portal is configured. We can refresh this now. It should be done by now. And there we go. See all this details over here? We can go click on portal details. And let's see, it should be up and running, and we get the URL for our portal now. Oh no, you guys can't see my screen. In 1 second, I'm going to share the screen with you now. You guys must tell me when you can't see. Okay, you did. Okay, great. Okay, so here our portal is set up, and here's the link. Right, so if I go and copy this, and I put it into a new screen, paste it over here, and we go copy it quickly again. Let's go back here, copy this link, copy link address. You guys can see my screen still, I hope? Yeah, you can. Okay. Paste that, and then press enter, and you see our portal will open. Okay. I see there's some chats here. So Nanda's question is, where did I get the portal from? Yes, I deployed it in the actual admin center. So I'll just take 1 or 2 steps backwards. It is in the recording, and I promise you I'm going to share the recording tonight. Let's just go to that admin center, and I think it's over here. So here it is here where it says portal add-on. So I'm going to refresh the screen, and you're going to see it'll say enabled now. Let's refresh that. There we go. Where's our portal? It'll have a new name now. There we go. On top it says ABC for Dynamics, and its status is configured. So that's our portal. It's busy setting itself up. We're good there. There's our portal URL, and it's on, and everything's great. Okay. So how did I get to it? I got to it from here. So this is your admin center. So let me take a couple of steps back just to refresh. It will be in the recording, don't worry. But we're going to go to the admin center in Office 365. Obviously, this will only work if you already have a Dynamics system set up. So you've got to set up Dynamics first before you actually set up the portal, okay? Then on the left in your admin center, click on Show All on the left-hand side. Let me just make sure you guys can see my screen. Yeah, you can. Okay. Fantastic. And then in the settings, you click on Service and Add-ins. Once you click on Service and Add-ins, we want to add products to Dynamics 365. So we need to go into Dynamics 365's admin center. So we click on Dynamics 365. Then it says Manage your Dynamics 365 settings. You click on that. This will take you into the admin center for Dynamics. Once you're in the admin center, go to Applications. Now, if any of you are currently using any of the older versions, not the latest version, what you're currently looking at, it's a slightly different path, but it is on your menu. And the path which is different is in your admin center. If you scroll down to here under admin centers, you'll see Dynamics over here. They've just removed it from there for some reason and placed it in a new place that's a little bit more complicated to find. And then once you're over here, you click on Manage. And then if I click on Manage, it'll take me to my actual portal. I see there's a question in the chat. Let me just check. Okay, brilliant. All right, cool. So please do me a favor, set up your environments. I'm going to pop you guys an email once I've uploaded it. I've created a temporary website where I'm going to be posting all of the training videos. So I will send that email out tonight so that you guys can check it out. So there we go. There's our, let's see if our portal is up and running yet. Okay, it's still setting up. So normally once it's up and running, you'll be able to see it immediately. All right, I'm going to share this link also in the chat so you guys can copy this if you want to make sure that when you finish downloading yours or setting up your portal, that it looks exactly the same. Cool. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me tonight. I'll see you guys tomorrow night at the same time. I'll send out a new meeting invite link. Please don't use the same link. I'll send you a new one. And then I'll share the meeting recording later with you